I asked about the opening because I thought I must have missed the invitation. That was the simplest explanation. At my age, you assume forgetfulness before betrayal. My son had been working toward this clinic for years. When he finished his residency, he came to me with spreadsheets and cautious optimism. The bank would finance part of it. He needed the rest to secure the lease and equipment. I wired $340,000 without asking for terms. I told him we'd sort the details later. I said it was an investment in his future. I believed that, so when I called one afternoon and casually asked how the opening went, I expected to hear about the turnout, the flowers, the awkward ribbon, cutting photo. There was a pause. Not long, just long enough. "Oh, my daughter-in-law said," her voice even. "That was 6 weeks ago. We only invited close family and friends." I waited for the correction, for the laugh, for her to realize what she'd said. It didn't come. I remember looking at the wall across from my desk. I'd framed his medical school diploma years ago, before he took it with him. The nail was still there. "Of course," I said. "That makes sense." After we hung up, I replayed the phrasing. "Close family. I am his father. There are only so many categories available to me." I tried to convince myself it was an oversight, a scheduling issue, a miscommunication. Pride can disguise itself as reason. A few days later, my phone rang again. This time there was no pause. "The bills are overdue," she said. "Did you send the money?" "What money?" I asked. "The additional capital. We talked about this. The equipment supplier needs payment. Payroll is tight." I let her words settle. Additional capital. As if we were partners in an expanding enterprise. As if exclusion and obligation could coexist without friction. I wasn't aware I'd committed to more. I said. There was a small exhale on the other end. "Well, we assumed." That word did more than the missed invitation. After we ended the call, I opened the folder where I'd kept the wire confirmation from the original transfer. I realized I didn't have a single document beyond that. No agreement. No equity certificate. No repayment schedule. I had believed the relationship was the contract. I called a financial advisor I've worked with for years. I kept my voice measured as I explained the situation. He asked one question that unsettled me more than anything my daughter-in-law had said. How was the original $340,000 categorized? I assumed it was equity. I said, "Assumed." He repeated. The next morning, I requested formal documentation from the clinic's accountant. It took 2 follow-ups before they sent it. When the file arrived, it was labeled plainly family loan. Loan, no interest rate specified, no maturity date, just a line item under liabilities. I sat with that for a long time. Not because of the money, but because of the decision made without me. They had translated my belief into debt. I didn't call my son immediately. I drafted something instead. With my advisor and an attorney, we formalized what should have existed from the beginning. A structured loan agreement with defined repayment terms and a modest interest rate. Nothing punitive, nothing dramatic, just professional. The documents were delivered by courier. That was the only theatrical part of it, not by my design, but by necessity. Paper has weight. It lands differently than a conversation. My son came to my house that evening. He looked tired. Older than I remembered from a week before. "You didn't have to do this," he said, holding the folder. "I did," I replied. "You already did." He sat across from me at the kitchen table, where he'd done his homework years ago. For a moment, I saw the boy who asked me to check his science projects. Then he straightened his back. She handled the paperwork. He said quietly, "I know." There was more he could have said. There was more I could have asked. Instead, I told him the terms were fair and that I expected them to be honored. I also told him I would not be providing additional funds. He nodded. Not in agreement, in recognition. The clinic did not collapse. They adjusted. They secured a small business line of credit. They reduced expenses. Payroll stabilized. I know this because I receive the monthly repayments now, precisely on schedule. We speak less often. When we do, the conversations are polite, careful. My daughter-in-law's tone has shifted, not warmer, not colder. Just aware. I attend family dinners occasionally. The clinic's framed opening photo hangs in their hallway. There is a ribbon. There are flowers. There is no empty space where I should have stood. I don't comment on it. I have learned that dignity is quieter than anger. It does not demand apology. It redraws lines. I still love my son. That has not been converted into anything transactional. But I no longer confuse love with access or generosity with invisibility. The repayments will conclude in a few years. Perhaps by then the distance will feel smaller. Perhaps not. What changed was not the balance in my bank account. It was the understanding that being excluded from a celebration does not require you to finance it.